What's going on, guys? We're gonna start off today going through some tips that will help out your gun and your gameplay and things that most people don't really think about when it comes to your AEGs, or even sometimes these things can affect your HPAs. So first thing, I was gonna take your magazine out. I also want to take out, make sure you have no battery in the gun, and of course that's unsafe. Alright, now that we have checked to make sure the battery is out, the gun is unsafe, and that the magazine is out and the BBs are not inside and ready to shoot, we're going to take apart, the first thing we're going to take a look at. You want to use a cloth to take out your pin, because as you can see I have done a little damage to it before, but nothing that will hurt it. Alright. First thing we're going to take a look at is your hop-up module and barrel. So the first thing, your hop-up. The hop-up is the module that it's your driving force behind the lift on your BB, the accuracy, the everything. It is what makes your BB have movement to it. It is very important that you have a good quality hop-up and that you have a good quality bucking and nub. But the bucking is this little silicone piece. I don't know if you can see it. It's like blue. It is the contact that when it comes through the hop up is pushing down on the bucking, which has this little piece in it that has a groove in it for the BBs. And when the BBs go through, it hits it on top. So like smacks it through, and it makes the BB spin up. That's what makes your BB have lift and range and accuracy. So all these are very important, since every time you shoot, this touches your BBs. It is very important you have quality parts and you keep them clean, and you just have overall good parts together. My personal setup that I use, and I've really have in every single gun I have, is a VFC hop. They're very, they're plastic. They're not crazy expensive. I think they're like $21 or something like that. You can also get any maple leaf product. Just make sure that the bucking and nub are compatible. A lot of times different styles have different nubs that go with them. Like mine is very specific. You can use standard nubs, but I use the Macron bucking and Omega nub. The Omega nub has like a curvature to it, like a, so when it comes down, the BB actually has the curve of its actual like diameter, so it has a little bit better of a contact point. The second thing we're going to take a look at is your barrel, and that you should clean your barrel. Like for instance, I've already cleaned my barrel once. You can see how dirty that is after 2 game days. I mean, over time that gunks up the inside of your barrel. It makes it to where there's not as smooth of a transition like when it goes through. So I'm going to clean it one more time and see how dirty it is, and maybe show you again. Let's see. It's not as dirty, but you still see, even after going through once, it's dirty. So it's very important to clean these, after, I would say after every game day. But that's basically, oh, and your barrel length. Length matters to a point. I've actually seen shorter barrels like this one shoot roughly the same. But definitely the tightness. The tighter bore of a barrel, I've experienced that you have more power behind it, more accuracy. But your rate of fire is going to go down just a tad. Now, when you get a wide bore barrel like a 6.05, I have that in one of my builds, and the rate of fire coming out of it is actually substantially a little bit bigger, or a little bit more than I'm having a tight bore. Now the thing on a tight bore, roughly like a 6.03 diameter, like I said, you have more range and a little bit more power behind it, just like a real rifle. The tighter it is, the better it is for the projectile. I have seen where people go down to 6.01. Your BB diameter is 6 millimeter. So I don't know. I've personally always ran 603 because it's like a happy medium. You get a good rate of fire along with like a solid FPS and joule rating. So I would say that that's what I'd go with as a 603, but you can go down all the way to a 0.01 millimeter. The second thing we're going to look at is your BB weight. A lot of people run 0.2s or 2.5s or 2.8s. 2.8s aren't bad, but I personally use 0.3s because they're a little bit heavier. But if you ever shoot one, you'll see that you got a lot more consistency when your BB goes and a lot more accuracy. Now, the thing is, when you do that, you need to make sure that you have a good enough spring to where you can shoot those at a good FPS and joule. But when you go up, like I said, when you go up in weight, your joules are going to go up because you have more weight behind the, when you shoot it, there's more force behind it, but your FPS is going to go down. So, you say your gun's shooting at 350 FPS with 0.2s or something, you're probably going to go down all the way to 300 and something in that range. I mean, you're going to see a drastic difference if you go from 0.2s to all the way to 3. It's going to be a big deal. But BB weight is a huge factor. Like I said, accuracy and a little bit more range, just not as fast. Now, the third thing we're going to take a look at, a lot of people, you'll hear it. You'll be on the field and you'll hear like a big grinding, whining noise, like, it's like real, it's just unhealthy sound. Like it doesn't sound great. A lot of times your motor height will fix that. It's too far up inside the gearbox. Like right here is your motor, and your gearbox actually has a curvature to it coming down. And it goes up in and it contacts all these gears. If it's too high and it's pushing too hard on these gears, it's going to be grinding and it's going to sound real ugly. It's not going to sound very good. Also, that if your motor gets real hot, that's also a problem too. It could be too high. So you can see this little Allen key in here. Mine is a little bit different. It's like unnormal compared to most. The normal ones usually have a screw, and a big Allen key or flathead in the middle. If you want to adjust the motor height, I wouldn't go drastic. Every little bit matters. So the center one is usually what turns it down and up. And, you would kind of want to hold your gun and tighten it, put your battery in and shoot it and see what it sounds like. If it sounds like it's grinding, you probably need to go up or down. You'll eventually hear it. It's got like a nice sound to it compared to like a real high-pitched whiny noise. So that's one thing that most people don't realize is that. Another tip is a lot of people, your gun, if you get like a lower end gun, say like a Valken or like maybe a G&G or something like that, a lot of times their compression is not all that great. Like they'll have a port in their cylinder. A lot of times, and every build I actually have, no matter the barrel length, I've heard that if your cylinder is actually full and you have a shorter barrel, that it will actually suck the BB in. I have personally not experienced that. So I always put in a cylinder that has no port in it, which means there's no opening in it at all, which means when this piston that comes back that gives it all the air, it takes full advantage of every bit of air that it can get. A ported one, it actually starts taking air like right here. But here you get a little bit more volume of air. So that's a big thing. And then you got your whole compression right here. This is all compression. This big cylinder. You'll have your nozzle. You'll have your cylinder head. You'll have your tappet plate, which makes this move back and forth. But as you can see, mine's already pulled back. You'll have the cylinder. You'll have the piston and the piston head. The piston head has a gasket on it just like the cylinder head. So those two are usually your common things. And a lot of times your cylinder or your nozzle, it will leak out the edges in the back because it has no O-ring. So this is all things that you can look at. If you're not comfortable with taking your gearbox out and apart, I would suggest you go to your local tech, get that checked out. But, usually if you can do it yourself, that's fairly inexpensive. I mean, I'd say if you get a solid compression set, I would say, you know, nozzle and all this replacement, I would say like 90 bucks, 80 bucks. If you go on the cheap side, you can go on 100 if you go to like Lonix parts. And also that comes into your compression. A lot of people, it's quick change. So, I mean, you can take a lot of times this back part off and you can look at it. You can take your spring out without even having to take your gearbox off. Now some guns you can't do that, but there's a spring. Your spring, you know, power. They're like a lot of times cheaper guns will have an M100. Some guns will have a M120. And some guns even take, you know, if you need like DMR style, they'll take like a 130, 135, something like that. So I would look into that as well. And all these tying together, you know, you have a great hop up setup that has no air loss. You have a great compression that has no air loss, and you have a good quality spring. I mean, I've seen some guns go up to 1.6 off of M120 spring, which is a normal spring, a 1.6 joule rating with 0.3s. So, I mean, you're looking at like, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but you're looking at like 330 maybe in feet per second. Plus, you got good range. So, I mean, it's all powerful with what you have right here. But all that tied together, if you want to go into more of the advanced tips, you can get a better MOSFET, which will give you a better trigger response. And you can, like most guns you can see, like you can't pull it if it's unsafe, but mine, you can, because it's optical sensor, sorry, I just kind of stuttered a little bit. But it's really quick. It's got, you know, when you pull the trigger, it has a laser that can sense that it went past. So you're not having a contact. You're not having like copper on copper contact. So you're eliminating a lot of heat. You're eliminating a lot of communication. It's just a lot faster. You can actually modify it to where your trigger pull is like that, or you can even set it to way back here. So, I mean, it's very customizable and quicker. Now it is on the pricier side because you got to get it installed, or if you can do it yourself. They run like a 120, 130 maybe for the last time I checked off eVike. That's a main thing. But if you guys, that's really like all the basics. But if you guys would like to see a deeper dive into like more advanced tips like shimming or gate tighten installs or anything like that, just like in the comments and type what you want to see. Other than that, I will see you guys later.